And the final talk about SIT is gonna be Jair Virginio from Brazil, Moscamed. So Jair is currently the CEO of Moscamed Brazil. Moscamed is a non-profit social organization that is mostly controlling fruit flies in Brazil using SIT in particular, and is now also developing SIT on mosquito, which is a big concern for disease in Brazil. So Jair is gonna present what they're doing and discuss the business model that Moscamed is used.
Okay, thank you so much, Clélia. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, good night to everyone. I think that en français, c'est très facile parce qu'on dit bonjour à tous. But my idea here is present our experience in terms of to apply SIT technology in case of the mosquitoes and also to talk a little bit about the fruit flies. I would like to say also thanks to the invite to invite us, especially our friend Clélia Olivia, for this opportunity to share with you our experience. Okay, let's move. Moscamed facility, it's a social organization. It's a classification that you have in Brazil when you want to say that you are a non-profit institution and you work in the same area that you have a government institutions work also at the same time. You are working with IAA. We are a collaborating center for SIT for mosquitoes, and you are trying to prove some solution for agriculture and the public health in this sense. In terms of the technical description of the SIT, I think everybody received a lot of information. It's very, very interesting. It's a challenge yet. In case of the fruit flies, I think that you have Ceratitis captatus, the most developed SIT strategy. Every time I thought that it's almost like a Ferrari. Imagine you guys that you have the same species, I mean Ceratitis captata Vienna 8, that was produced by the AAA, the labs in Seibesdorf, that you can apply in every part of the world with the same species. In case of the mosquitoes, it's a little bit different. Sometimes you need, sometimes all the times you need a specific background, I mean genetic background in terms of the produced mosquito. So it's much more complicated. You need to start the process to establish a column, a domestication process, and after that, you have the possibility to use such column in the SIT for mosquitoes. In case of the project for Aedes stereo, you divide our actions in three phases. It's very important to say at this moment that you need to consider two beautiful and huge concepts. The first one is IVM, integrated vector management, or for agriculture, integrated pest management. It's impossible. The Moscamed isn't the silver bullet. The SIT technology isn't the silver bullet. Isn't the less Coca-Cola in the desert. We need to see that it's much more one tool that you can add for your box of tools in order to control some pests or vector in the field. So it's very important to understand this. The idea is how you can provide different solutions and integrate the SIT to the traditional strategy that you have in your place. In this sense, it's very important, first of all, before to start to release mosquitoes or flies, you need to have a beautiful baseline. You need to establish a huge monitoring systems. You just can apply SIT or any kind of technology if you know what happened in the field, in the sense it's very important to provide also a monitoring system. I think Clélia was so happy when she showed to us that more than a product, it's a service involving several local actors and for sure several methods also. It's very important to establish at the same time a strategy of communication between growers or the community where we intend to start the SIT technology. The second phase is the suppression phase, is when you properly apply the SIT technology in order to see what happened with the flies and mosquitoes, decide which kind of the strategy of release, if we are applying a ground release or aerial release, depends of your all conditions in field. And the last one is to possibly release if you can stop. Somebody in the last section asked to us when you will stop to release mosquitoes. In case of the SIT, it's the same thing of the chemical control or another strategy to control vector or pest. If you are in a affected area and you will stop to apply chemical control or biological control, the population of the pest or the vector will turn and grow up. In case of the SIT, it's the same thing. So you need to see what you want. If you achieve the eradications, sometimes you can apply another strategy, like Clélia showed to us in California. The guys release flies, I mean fruit flies, like a preventive release program. Imagine they are a free area, but all the time they are releasing flies in order to avoid some reinfestation in such area. In case of the mass rearing, just to show to you some pick up some points very important. It's very interesting. You need to train manpower, and it is not so easy to train these people because the turnover of these people sometimes is very high. We still have some bottlenecks in case of the mass rearing, and the sort pupa is for sure it's a labor intensive act. In the sense you need to see how you can solve this. When you are working with the SIT technology in terms of the mass rearing, it's 24/7 action, so there is no weekends or holidays, and in no time during the day. Imagine when you start to release mosquitoes, the teams arrive in the facility at 3:00 a.m. So it's not so easy. We have some bottlenecks in case of the diets is so expensive. You need to looking for local alternatives in terms of the reduced larval diets. And for sure, you need also to have a beautiful team in order to provide to you a good quality insects. And this technology depends of the quality of your insect that you release in the field. Okay. Just to show to you some views of our mass rearing. You have a facility. We was the first mosquito facility in the world for mass rearing. We start this in 2010. We start first with a transgenic strain, but after that you switch for a SIT classical strain. In this sense, is running now it's SIT classical. You face also several bottlenecks in this sense, packing and transport. You need to looking for some solutions. It's very interesting, the cold chain in this process. You need to keep the mosquitoes in good stand. It's not so easy. In case of the fruit flies, everything is solved. But in case of the mosquitoes, you are just starting the process. And for sure, you have a lot of labs work. However, now you are scale up. You are changed. You left the lab phase to a field phase. In the sense, you need to have to provide a lot of answers for some problems that you have in our project. In case of the release, it's very interesting to see another very important concept. The first one was the IVM, I mean IPM. The second one is air wild program. So it's so difficult when you are working in small areas. You need to looking for huge areas in order to have a better solution when try to apply SIT technology. It's very important, like our colleague Clelia showed to us. There is a different strategies in terms of the action that you can take in order to solve. If you want to control the population, to reduce the population, it's very interesting when you use the concept, the economic damage for pests. In case of the mosquitoes, the idea is to see how is the dengue transmission level, the threshold. In this sense, it's very good if you can put the population under this threshold, so in order to avoid the economic damage or to avoid the dengue transmissions, because sometimes it's almost impossible to talk about the eradication.
Jair, you have 5 minutes left. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. In case of the monitoring, as I told to you, it's very important to have all the information, all the time, the connections with the community. It's very important. In case of the value proposition, value network, it's very interesting when you are talking in case of our pilot project. You don't have a value proposition as a final strategy, I mean, ready to apply like a business program ready. Also, you don't have this at this moment. You have some informations about the pilot project. The people from Spain in the tax, they have information that you can reduce more than 20 times when you change from the pilot phase to action phase. So you can reduce this. In case of, for us, it's very, very important, the network. At this moment of the SIT for technology, it's almost impossible to do this alone. It's a huge synergy between all the institutions that you are using this. In the case of the SIT for mosquitoes, it's very important to stay together with the people. There is no like to do this the different way. It's very important to have the institutional support at this moment. And sometimes, if you can to talk about the difference between SIT for fruit flies and for the mosquitoes. In case of the fruit flies, it's very clear that the growers is the main custom. In the case of the SIT, at this moment, the main custom is the health authorities in different levels, like the state level or national level. So, in terms of the stats, you need in a pilot project. You need to move on in the business model and describe better this situation. And just to show to you some all the institutions that support us in this sense. And I think that you have a lot of work to do. It's very huge, because at this moment the health authorities want much more to see. When you are working with fruit flies, it's so easy to show the results, because you want to show that the population of the fruit flies goes down when you apply SIT. In case of the SIT for mosquitoes, more than to show that you can reduce the mosquito population, you need to show also that you can have the decrease of the arbovirosis in case of the dengue, Zika, and chikungunya. In this sense, you need to continue looking another bottlenecks. We are working at this moment with WGO, with PAHO, and with AAA in order to show a better way, because in case of the mosquitoes, imagine you need to do a thorough prevalence in the local population in order to show that you can decrease the arbovirus circulation in such areas. So in this sense, it's a little bit more complicated than when you work with the fruit flies. Thanks, Lélia. Questions, please?
Thanks a lot, Jair. Any question in the room?
Hi, this is Simon working on SIT and flies. I'm a little bit curious. Thanks for the very interesting presentation and comprehensive. I'm curious about the genesis of the project. How and who gathered and decided to do that, on what ground, and what were the forces that enabled the starting of the project?
Thank you for your request. It's very amazing. I'm a fruit fly guy. I think that SIT technology is starting the world with, as Clélia told to us, with the new screw board. And after that,
sorry. I mean, in your very project, in the mosquito project that you presented, not in general.
So that's it. Okay, I'm just make a connection. In case of our project, when the people from the health system, they see that you apply the SIT technology for fruit flies, in this sense, they ask to us to provide using the same technology for mosquitoes. In this sense, we are looking for is in the beginning of the 2010, which have in terms of lab scale something to show to us. And some universities in different parts of the world start with this, transgenics, strains, something like that. When you start to do this, was amazing because the challenge was fantastic, and you start with this, and you can show to everybody that in case of open field, you can reduce the mosquitoes population. And at this moment, I think that you have several projects around the world and works very well. But was health authorities demand in case of the Brazil.
Okay.
Hello, Aura Parmentier, Université Côte d'Azur. Thank you very much for your presentation. I have two little questions. The first of all, since you are medfly guys, how did the model developed on a medfly could be translated on to mosquito or inspired you maybe in some way? And the second point is about the social business. I would like to know what gives the social business status particular advantage in the case of both medfly, if it's the case, and for mosquitoes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you too. It's amazing. In case of the fruit flies, when you talk with the growers, they can see the results of easily way. However, they expected how fruit flies is a huge problem for all the world. The Cerathitis capitata, it's spread in all the world, and you can see some easily way the results in case of the SIT technology. It's much more easy to apply this. The growers are enough. They have enough knowledge, especially because at this moment the market asked to them that it can provide. For in case of the Union Europe, you guys reduce a lot the maximum limit of residues of the pesticide in the fruits. In this sense, they feel that it's very important to apply some friendly, environmental friendly technology in the SIT. One is. In case of the mosquito, sometimes not so easy because the people don't understand how you can control mosquitoes when you release more mosquitoes. So in this sense, it's very important to work together with the communities in order to clarify some doubts that the people have regarding the technology. It's very interesting because when you start to talk in the schools or in the rooms, the idea is bring to us a cage with the males, stereo males and ask to the people to introduce the arms and show to them that the male, that you are only release males in case of the mosquitoes, that just the female bite, and show to them that there is no risk if you release males. In this sense, they can see, and it's a little bit more easy to understand the SIT technology. It's fantastic because we start to establish this connection with the community at the same time that we start your baseline in the field. It's a permanent connection with the people in order to see how is the doubt, to answer all the doubts that the people have. In this regard, it's very important because you need to have a permanent system of the connection with the communities, with health authorities, and for sure with the people that produce, release, and monitoring the mosquitoes or the fruit flies.
Thanks, Jay. There was a quick question on the chat from Odile Colna. So she says, thank you for a fascinating project first. And she was asking if you have figures. So did you measure impact on biodiversity versus the use of pesticides? Or is it something you're planning to do?
In case of the impacts, the idea is to eliminate to chemical control. It's the first step. So in this sense, you can reduce when you have when you apply SIT technology. Why you need to avoid to use a chemical control? Sometimes, for sure, you need a knockdown like a first step. I mean, you can apply a chemical control at the zero phase before we start release in order to reduce the mosquito population. After that, you need to stop to apply chemicals, and you need to start to release mosquitoes. In this sense, you can achieve 100% of the chemical control measures when you are working with SIT.
Thanks, Jay. I think we're gonna stop here. And if you feel like answering a bit more on the chat, you're welcome. Okay. Thanks a lot for being available from Brazil.
Thank you.